fantasy focus. Let's dive in here. Let's talk about the top 10 of each position going into this week. Make sure you get your fantasy questions out there so that we can get that going. Yeah, TikTok, I don't know what he was saying earlier. I don't know. Something about XM Serious. I don't know. What's up, TikTok? I don't know. But
I didn't even see it.
Yeah. Let's dive in. Quarterbacks. Here we go here. Patrick Mahomes tops off the list in Germany with a big week starting out here. Number one. A lot of big names here, 1 through 5. You got your heavy hitters. Allen, Lamar Jackson going against that Seattle defense. Jalen Hurts, Joe Burrow coming at number 5. Then you got Tua, Dak, Justin Herbert, CJ, and Derek Carr. Derek Carr in at number 10.
Yeah, I mean, dude, the QB position towards the end is a little tough. All right. I mean, you could dispute some of this order if you wanted, but like those top 4 names are literally top 4 this season in fantasy points. Maybe not in that order, but they're the top 4 guys. I think Mahomes is going to have a big week to beat Miami. I do, we kind of talked about it. I highlighted Joe Burrow here, but we kind of talked about in the preview that like he kind of finally looked like the Joe Burrow of old last week. We'll see if that continues this week in a big Buffalo matchup. But he's trending in the right direction, it looks like, after certainly the struggles at the start. Dak at 7, it's a risk. I'm finally saying this is the week that Dak pulls his ass out against a good team and plays well. And Derek Carr, dude threw for what, like 500 yards last week. So because of that, let's give him a little bit of respect. I don't know where that came from. He's probably not going to need to do that this week because they're playing someone bad. Who were the Saints playing? The Bears. Yep. So they probably don't need to do that. But, props to him and having a big week. Let's see if they can keep that going.
I mean, Derek Carr put up 18 points last week against Indy. So, I think, being able to go out there and sling it around. I mean, the 29th ranked defense giving up fantasy points to opposing quarterbacks. I mean, Derek Carr on this list should be where he's at and in this top 10 just based off of that alone. Patrick Mahomes going up against a defense that gives up 27th most points to quarterbacks, which again is why, like, we look back at that spread and we look at some of the analytics of, again, why Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid are under or 1.5 point favorites. Blows my mind still, but it is what it is. And then Justin Herbert coming in here as well. I mean, that
tough matchup against
the Jets, but yeah, I mean, he's still a stat machine.
They throw it a lot.
Will Mahomes rebound against a team that good? I mean, again, you're rebounding against a defense that gives up that many points from a fantasy perspective. I think that's going to be a shootout, honestly. But yeah, so there you go. But yeah, keep hitting us with your questions, guys. I had a lineup: Dak, Hubbard, McCaffrey, Hopkins, Waddle, Shaheed, Kmet, Watson, Gibbs, and Levis. Oof. I mean, Levis blew up. I mean, that's a gamble throwing Levis in there.
You had Levis in your lineup last week?
That's a gamble throwing Levis in there.
You didn't. No, you didn't.
It's like, Diego, I need Mahomes to put up a lot of points to have a chance to win fantasy this week.
Your think wish this is his command.
I mean, they're not playing. They're definitely not playing the Broncos, so you have a chance.
Yeah.
I had to throw it in there. I had to. All right, let's get to the wide receivers here in this list. So Tyreek Hill obviously is he's having a crazy year. And I mean, it doesn't really matter at any point, but Tyreek Hill should be coming in here at number 1 most weeks. AJ Brown is on a historic run. AJ Brown has put up, what has he put up over the last 5 weeks?
It's like over $125 in every game. Like,
yeah, it's crazy.
It's pretty stupid what he's put up.
Yeah, he's put up 131 yards, 175, 127, 131, 137, and 130. in the last what?
So you know exactly what you're getting.
Yeah, exactly.
Which is a $130 plus, basically.
And he hasn't put up less than 18.7 fantasy points per game in that stretch. So he is 100% just streaking right now through everything. He's averaging around 23 points from a fantasy perspective, right behind Tyreek Hill, who's at 26.5. So between those two, I mean, it's just a boat race of points for your teams. Rounding out the bottom half of this one, Stephon Diggs, Jamar Chase, CeeDee Lamb, Devontae. You got Adam Thielen, who's been rising the rankings on our wide receiver ranks over the last couple of weeks, coming in at number 7. Cooper Kupp, Keenan Allen, and Garrett Wilson comes in here as well for the Jets.
Yeah, I mean, Garrett Wilson's a bit of a he's so good. So I'm gonna throw him in here despite Wilson throwing to Wilson. I also have Devontae Adams in here. I feel like they're gonna make a point to get him the ball this week after his frustration everyone saw on the sideline with missing a couple easy long ones potentially to him on Monday night. So I think Devontae Adams will be involved early and often. Diggs and Chase, that'll be interesting to see where they fall. Obviously, that they're matching up against each other in that Sunday night game, so both probably will, big moment, big game. Those two are probably going to show up big time in that one. So interesting to say, Cooper Kupp's just, I feel like he's going to be a safety net for. I mean, Stafford's probably not playing, and I don't think he is playing this week. So Cooper Kupp's just that safety net there, where the reliable guy that it might just be a lot of catches, so maybe more so in a PPR than traditional, but in a PPR he could have quite a few grabs, I think.
Yeah, between Hopkins and CeeDee Lamb, both top fantasy point scorers last week. CeeDee Lamb at 41 last week, by the way, and then
go ahead.
Yeah, I was a 41. DeAndre 38, 34.8.
Football Wife did say, Scotty, you were playing me in fantasy football this week. Make sure you let me win. Of course. I don't think I have to let you, probably, Football Wife. I know you're not quite up to your usual standard this year, but you'll probably roll over me, so don't worry about it. Would Tua be a top QB without Tyreek? No. I mean, like in fantasy or just viewed as a top QB? Because I don't know if I view him as a top QB.
Let's see. Ty, how did you celebrate the Super Bowl last week, beating the Chiefs? With plenty of champagne and...
It was your birthday, Chris.
And yeah, it was my birthday. So it all worked out in my favor. They hooked me up with a great birthday gift. Now, all we have to do is beat the Raiders, and that will just... As long as we beat the Raiders... I mean, that's kind of all we need on the season. Let's see. Suck this year. Tua plus Pickens equals Super Bowl. It's official. Broncos are better than the Chiefs forever. Hey.
I don't think you know what the word official means.
All right, let's get to the running backs here. Christian McCaffrey leads off here, running back ranks, along with Breece Hall. Which
you spelled everyone's name right.
Eckler. It's not Eller, it's Eckler. We got it.
You did it. Have a cookie.
Yeah, see?
Wait, Chris, these aren't even the right... These are not the rankings, because Christian McCaffrey can't be number 1 when he's on a bye.
Oh, did I screw this up? I was too busy focusing on the Eckler. All right, hold on. Let me see.
Yeah, it's gonna be controversial, Chris. I think Saquon's supposed to be in that one spot.
Oh, you're right. Hold on. Let me get that fixed real quick. Talk about it real quick. And Breece Hall comes in at number 2. By the way, I think he's gonna run all over the Chargers. But let me put it in Saquon real quick.
Yeah, I like Breece. I mean, people haven't talked about finally after the first few weeks. The Jets have made a point to get Breece Hall the ball, and he looks like one of the best running backs in football and like a top 5 fantasy guy going against the Chargers defense, where I think he should be able to certainly have some success there. And, he's moving up my list a lot. He's an exciting guy that just give him carries. He's averaging 5.7 yards per carry on the season, Chris. feed that dude the ball, especially in that offense that isn't exactly slinging it around.
Yeah, 100%. Here, give me 1 second here. Boom.
Yeah, we could keep it as McCaffrey. We have said time and time again that's a default spot for McCaffrey. So even in his bye week, maybe he achieves greatness.
I mean, he probably outscores some other running backs even in his bye week. So I wouldn't be shocked.
I mean, I wish it wasn't his bye week. I got him on like 3 different teams, so it's hurting me.
All right.
Rest of this list, moving down.
Sorry.
What you got? You're good. You're good.
There we go.
Yeah. Eckler, Kamara, Jonathan Taylor, who's finally getting back into form with Indy, Raheem Mostert. Denver did have some success running the football last week against the Chiefs, so maybe the Dolphins, can have some success on the ground. Bijan Robinson's always a solid play. Maybe hasn't had a blow-up game. I'm waiting for Bijan Robinson to have a blow-up game, maybe this week. Josh Jacobs, once you get into the 10 range, it's kind of tough, Chris. These guys aren't necessarily reliable. I thought about maybe putting a Jerome Ford in there for Cleveland. He's questionable, though. You could argue Derrick Henry maybe tomorrow night. Who knows? But once you get in that bottom 10, Joe Mixon's had a underwhelming year a little bit, but
20 last week. So
he's starting to get on track. Little by little.
Yeah. He's been hovering back and forth between the single digits and teens over the last 3 or 4 weeks. When it prior to the bye week, and now he's just had that. He's kind of on the same track of the offense with the Cincinnati Bengals, right? So it's you start running the ball a little bit, you start opening up the offense, and then you have a quarterback that's not hurt anymore to kind of glue it all together. And I think Joe Mixon could be a player to keep an eye on moving forward as just a standard what you were supposed to expect from him all season long. So. Love Joe Mixon here coming up, just as far as a look ahead for the rest of the season. Otherwise, Alvin Kamara has come on quite a bit over the last couple weeks too. So I mean, it's 29 points a couple weeks ago, 27 this past week. So he's starting to get back in a rhythm. 17 carries, by the way, over the last 2 weeks each. So a lot of touches there. And then let me go back here. Now we're jumping all over the place. All right. Now we could get into the tight end rankings and get into tight ends and defense here coming up, and we'll close out our show. Football, past my bedtime. Good night. Thank you, football wife. Guys, by the way, I didn't announce it earlier. We'll be doing NBA show tomorrow here on the Action Lab. So make sure if you like NBA, tune in tomorrow night for that 1 hour NBA special. Tight end rankings here: Kelsey, Andrews, Goddard, Kincaid, and Pitts, followed by TJ, Jake Ferguson, because I spelled that wrong, Logan Thomas, Dalton Schultz, and David Njoku. This is what happens when I scramble to put together graphics last second. Sorry, everybody. But you know who we're talking about. Jake Ferguson. Scotty, who pops out to you here? I think you have Kincaid and Njoku makes the list. Scotty, you frozen? Yep, and we lost Scotty. It's all right. We're just batting 1,000 all of a sudden. Technical difficulties. Oh, you're not Scotty.
You get my dirt face.
Well, let me dive into this while we get Scotty back then. So, yeah, Travis Kelce, pretty standard. He's by and large the best tight end on this entire list, and he's the best tight end of the season. He's averaging over 4 points better than anybody else that's close, and then we're getting into the next couple best wide tight ends, and that's Andrews and Hawkinson are the only two that are even semi in the region, but it's far and away it's the Travis Kelce show when it comes to the tight end rankings. Laporta's come on, and TJ Hawkinson have done well. The thing with TJ Hawkinson is now you got to figure out how is the quarterback change going to affect him. Now, it helps that Atlanta is giving up the 21st ranked points to tight ends this season. So even regardless of who's playing quarterback, I think typically quarterbacks use tight ends as safety blankets. So there could be just a lot of targets, and using TJ in some of those PPR leagues, it's going to go a long way. So you still want to have him up here. George Kittle is actually, hold on. He's on bye week. My bad. We removed him off our show.
Same thing with McCaffrey.
Yeah, same thing. 49ers are on bye week. Sorry, I don't know why I was like looking at Kittle. Scotty, you've changed. Yeah, Scotty's all of a sudden.
I've gotten significantly smarter.
Don't let him hear you say that. Also, a couple other names on here: David Njoku, Jake Ferguson. I know it's not for Turd Ferguson. But let me touch on Logan Thomas here. Logan Thomas, 16 points last week, and is kind of he's been streaky, but almost double digits a couple weeks ago against the Giants. 16.4 points last week against the Philadelphia Eagles, and he's got a decent matchup against New England here coming up this week. So feel good about him on that point there. And then finally, David Njoku. David Njoku has been double digits last couple weeks. 10.4, 17.7 last week against Seattle. Again, going in a nice matchup against Arizona.
There's just one problem with Njoku. His quarterback is no longer PJ Walker.
Yeah. And that's the thing, too, that you got to keep. Like, there's so many. Like, what's crazy is there's so many quarterback changes over the course of this season with certain teams. And it's just like, you don't know who's healthy and who's not. You don't know who's getting traded to different teams. You don't know. I mean, it's been kind of all over the place. But, it is what it is. There's a lot of fluctuations. So that's why you got to keep an eye on some of the matchups and see if it makes sense to, switch in some of your other tight ends or pick one up off the waiver wire as needed. But
I just traded Logan Thomas this week too.
Yeah. And one other name here is Dalton Kincaid, crushing over the last 2 weeks against New England and Tampa Bay. And this week going up against the Cincinnati Bengals, who give up the most points to tight ends in fantasy football in any format. So make sure Dalton Kincaid. Oh, hey, what's up, Scotty? Welcome back.
Sorry, I had to remove my completely crashed on me.
It's all good. Welcome back. We just got done talking about tight ends. Anything that stands out to you? I just talk about Dalton Kincaid, who's going up against Cincinnati, who gives up the most points to tight ends in the fantasy side of things. So, and has crushed it, 15 and 17.
Why this week?
Yeah.
He's coming on, rookie that, had high hopes, being a late round first round pick with we all expected to be elite. Still trying to get his traction, but certainly had his two best games of the season the last 2 weeks with 75 and 65 yards against New England and Tampa, and a touchdown in one of those. So he's starting to flash some potential that we all thought he had, and Josh Allen's starting to trust him a little more.
Yeah. So yeah, there you go. I think he's going to be this is a turning point for them using him as often as they do. So
we said they got to stop just targeting, Stephon Diggs.
Yeah,
so
they got to spread it out a little bit.
Pretty good option.
Let's get to the defense here and finish up these rankings. So we got the Browns, Saints, Steelers, Ravens, Chargers coming in the top 5 on our defensive rankings. And then we have Falcons, Patriots, Packers, Giants, and Cowboys bringing us home on the back end. So as far as this week goes, Browns, by far, number 1 team here going up against Arizona, who, they might Kyler's probably not going to be playing. I don't know. Well, if he does, what are you going to get from a player who's coming back after missing as much time as he's had? Or you're just going to feast on just a different quarterback that you have no shot after you got rid of Dobbs. Who's their backup?
Clayton Tune.
Clayton Tune. That's why. Yeah, Clayton Tune. So not looking great there. And that's going to be just a field day for the Browns, in my opinion. You also got Packers and Giants at 8 and 9, Scotty.
Yeah, I mean, what you'll notice about this list in general is you look and you're like, wait, there's a lot of bad football teams on here. Yeah, it's because a lot of bad football teams play a lot of other bad football teams this week, which equates to them making that list. So Packers obviously offensively are a mess and aren't living up to potential, but still playing pretty solid on the defensive side of the ball. They get a favorable matchup this week with the Rams, minus Stafford likely. I don't know if that's been officially announced or not, but it looks like Stafford's probably not going to play.
Especially since they just signed a new quarterback.
Yeah,
and not just any quarterback.
I didn't even see who
they signed. They signed a piece of furniture that was on my team.
A piece of furniture that was on your team.
What?
They signed legendary quarterback from the state of Tennessee, Dresser Wynn.
I don't know who that is. Congrats.
Legendary quarterback that won UT Martin their first playoff game ever.
Oh, nice.
Keep those Pickett.
You know, I prefer nightstand win myself, but Dresser win would have to do for this week, I guess, for the Rams.
Yeah, Dresser win as opposed to Dresser lose.
That's true. At least he wins, you know?
Wins playoff games.
We talked about the Giants game being a low-scoring one, so they're in at the 9th spot, playing the Raiders in a matchup that features, Aiden O'Connell and what else? I mean... Maybe the Raiders
Daniel
come out
Jones?
fiery after the firing, but they also didn't even fire him until late Tuesday, which is weird. Normally, if you're going to fire a guy, it'll be immediately after your game. Granted, they played Monday night, but
Pacific time.
Yeah,
10 p.m. in the Pacific.
Kind of weird, but that's just what the Raiders do. So weird things.
Weird stuff. So
and the Cowboys obviously have a tough matchup, but I couldn't not put them on there after they've been by far the best fantasy defense, just absolutely blowing up. So, and had another huge week, of course, last week against the Rams.
So there you go. These are the defensive rankings for your fantasy football teams. Guys, take a look at these beforehand. Just make sure when it comes to your receivers, your running backs, anything position-wise, go check all of the updates before all of the games kick off. Again, we have an early one. So make sure if you have anybody on the Chiefs or the Dolphins, which I know a lot of you guys have some big heavy hitters on those teams, make sure you are taking care of those and putting them in your lineups early before those games kick off on Sunday. But there you go. That's what we got for